Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Words for Life, the podcast where we look for motivation and inspiration through ideas, quotes, phrases, and people. Today's is more of a little story, and I'm going to do my best to attempt to recite it from what I remember of it. I got it from a book, and I'm not quite sure I remember. It was a while ago. But the idea is this: don't go through life so fast that someone has to throw a brick at your window to get your attention. Now that's kind of the crux of the story, but the idea is this: is you have this very successful business person that's rushing to a meeting, very important meeting, and they're on their way and they're rushing and they're driving in their very expensive car, and then suddenly, boom, a brick slams into the side window and spider shatters it, and they swerve off to the side and they pull out and they are fuming. They are super mad and they don't know who to take it out on. And they see this kid standing over on the side of the road and runs up to him and grabs him by his shirt and said, "What are you doing?" He said, Mister, wait. My brother, he's fallen over out of his wheelchair and he can't get up, and I can't get anybody to help him get back up off the sidewalk and out of the street onto his wheelchair. And I'm not strong enough to do it. The person by that time was already fuming and he didn't know what was wrong with this kid. But as soon as he heard that he was trying to get someone to stop to help him go and help his brother back into his wheelchair, he felt awful. He felt like he was a horrible person for getting mad. And it was so bad that this young man had to resort to essentially violence to get somebody's attention to get help for his brother. So the man straightened himself up. He got back and he helped the younger brother back into the wheelchair, got him back on, and he said, "Thank you very much." And the young man went on his way. The man realized that he was going so fast through life and he was so busy and focusing on things that he wasn't paying attention to the things around him. And even though, as he'd been driving by, this boy was shouting for help, and this was the only way that his attention could be gotten. He never fixed that window, and he left it as a reminder that he needed to slow down and pay attention to the things around him. So, this is kind of an interesting story, and it goes to show that if we are going through life so fast that we're not paying attention to the subtleties or the request for help around us, it can lead to really bad results for ourselves and for those around us who might be asking for help, that we're just going so fast through that we're not paying enough attention to it. So, my ask of you out of this story is, how often are you going and not paying attention to how fast you're going through life? Do you take a moment to pay attention to what's going on? Do you realize that you're going faster than maybe what you really need to? Do you take moments in your life to take a breath, sit back, pay attention to what's around you? Or are you going at the speed of light, thinking that if I don't get it done now, I'll never get it done? Take a moment this week to see where in your life you might be speeding towards an end and you probably don't even know what that end is. And see, when you recognize those, can you take a moment and slow yourself down? Can you take a moment and realize that you need to take a breath? When we go and take a moment to take a breath, you'd be amazed at how often we might get clarity that what we're rushing towards isn't necessarily that important or doesn't require that level of speed or engagement. And it will allow ourselves to relax a little and focus on maybe the things that are more important, such as helping out somebody around us or taking care of something that needs to be taken care of that we hadn't been paying attention to because we've been so focused on getting into that endpoint or getting to that event, meeting, whatever might be the case, that we weren't paying attention to what was around us. If you do find yourself in that situation, take a moment and take a breath. Maybe count to 10, slow yourself down and see in that 10 seconds if you can focus on, why is that so important? Why am I rushing towards that end? There might be a very legitimate reason that you are rushing towards that end. But by taking that moment, taking a breath, taking 10 seconds, you'll be able to better focus and realize that maybe it doesn't need to be as rushed as you think it is. One of my favorite phrases is, uh, lack of planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on mine. And that can actually be said to ourselves. If we aren't planning enough for our own activities, why are we forcing ourselves into emergencies? Keep that in mind as you're thinking about why you're rushing towards an end this week, or if you are. If you find that throughout your days or your life that you are constantly rushing towards an end and you feel off kilter or unbalanced, and you're looking for some guidance or assistance to try and get back into balance, please reach out to me on my coaching website listed below in the description. I'd be more than happy to talk with you and see what opportunities we have to get your life back in balance and figure out what we can do to make you feel comfortable and still be high achieving at the same time. Remember, don't go through life so fast that someone has to throw a brick at you to get your attention. I want to thank you for joining me on this episode of Words for Life. Please join me on the next one. Thank you, and have a great day.